it literally was overnight. My voice changed big time. What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. My name is Sophie and I am an IFBB wellness pro, and today I'm going to talk to you about what has been going on with me over the last few years. And there has been a lot that I've wanted to tell you, but for a long time I didn't really have proper answers as to what exactly was going on. So I didn't really know how, to be honest, and it was a very traumatic and difficult time for me. So sometimes it's hard to share that when you're going through it. I wouldn't say I'm out the other end of it now, but I am definitely in a position where I can manage the situation and I can live and bodybuild and do what I love on a daily basis to a large extent. Now, things are still not perfect and I don't think they ever will be. So my purpose of this video is to be transparent, share with you what's been going on, of course, so that you know. Also, just to remind you that even people that you see doing certain things online, there's usually stuff going on in the background that you don't necessarily know about, and it's very easy to convince ourselves that people have it great. Oh, well, she can do that because she has the perfect scenario, the perfect situation to allow her to do so, and she doesn't have any issues or barriers stopping her doing what she wants to do. Now, I'm definitely not comparing myself to anybody because I know that there's a lot of people that are going through things that are way worse, and I'm not in any way comparing one stress to another or one issue to another. I'm just sharing with you my story, and I hope it serves as a reminder that no matter what is happening, we need to look forwards and we need to try and continue doing the things that make us happy, that light us up, and really just doing the best with whatever situation we have at that time. So anyway, let's get into it. So back in 2022, I won my pro card in IFBB Wellness, and it was honestly the biggest achievement of my bodybuilding career. It's something I've been working towards at that time for a few years. Before that, I had still been a bodybuilder. I'd still competed. It was just in a different federation. It was a different set of rules. It was a different look. And since moving over to the NPC/IFBB, it was the number one goal that I was working towards, and it's such a prestigious title to be able to hold. I'm so grateful that I was able to pursue that and to get that title. So I was on an all-time high. I was absolutely loving it, and I moved into my first off season as a pro, getting ready to compete in my pro debut. And the plan was for me to take a 2-year off season and to compete again in 2024. Now, it's obviously now 2025. I still have not competed. So this is some of the reasons as to why. It also has benefited me to just have that extra year. I will say that. I have grown more. So there's so many silver linings in this. I have got a physique now that I just wouldn't have had last year. And that has come down to having that extra year of time to grow. Who's to say if I'd had 2 perfect years that I couldn't have been in that position, but we don't know. There's always going to be curveballs that life throws at us, and we can't look back and say what if, because we can't change the past, we can only go forwards. After I won my pro card, a few months of my off season went by, everything was normal. I was gaining some weight as expected, I was gaining muscle, I was training hard. I definitely had some of the post-show blues and was feeling generally a little bit lacking in purpose and drive when compared to being on prep for so long, but that's normal. It's very, very normal to achieve a big goal like that and then to feel somewhat lost. So I was used to that. I've done this a lot of times before. It wasn't a surprise. It was fine. And then comes the end of summer and I went to a festival with a bunch of my friends and it was so much fun. We had the best time. It was a 3-day festival and I was absolutely dead to the world after this festival. You know how it is. We went hard. We had a great time. We were basically functioning on like minimal sleep. We were partying all day. And after this festival, I was not well. I was ill and I didn't really know what was going on. I'd never really experienced this before, where I just felt pretty awful, but I also had this crazy cough. And when I say crazy, it was like the craziest cough ever. I just literally could barely get 3 words out without coughing. And this went on for, it started with a few weeks and then it was a few months. And I was like, this is very strange. So in the end, I ended up getting my blood panel done and everything was fairly normal. All my hormones were fine. All my general bloods were fine. I had low white blood cell counts across a few different types of fighter cells, but they weren't worrying to the point of it being like, oh my goodness, you need to go and get this seen to. It was just suggesting I'd had some infection and my body was fighting it, which made sense because I had this crazy cough, right? So then fast forward anyway, this cough started to subside a little bit, but my voice changed big time. So my voice became incredibly scratchy, hoarse. I could not even make a sound apart from a sort of scratchy speaking voice. And it was incredibly painful and I would just cough if I was trying to talk or sing in any way other than this very hoarse, raspy voice. And I was really concerned and I really just did not know what was going on. So anyway, I went to my doctors and I explained the issues and they sent me for an ENT exam. So ear, nose and throat. They had a look down my throat at my vocal cords to see if I had polyps or any sort of infection going on down there, and there was literally nothing. They looked absolutely normal, perfectly healthy. They looked at my sinuses, everything, my nose, and everything was fine. There was no explanation as to what this cough was. So then a few more months go by. I'm still coughing all the time, but I felt like I've got a handle on it if I didn't eat certain things. So if I didn't drink fizzy drinks, if I didn't eat anything that was too processed or fatty. But obviously I was in an off season. I wanted to go out with my friends sometimes and enjoy food and drink. And sometimes I was like, well, I'm gonna have these things because I want to live my life a little bit. And even though, yep, not having them helped it, I was so torn between being able to eat and do the things I wanted to do and being able to speak, essentially. And this really affected my work as well because I'm constantly speaking to clients, I'm constantly filming, and this was a huge reason why I stopped vlogging as well, because I couldn't rely on my voice to hold up. I couldn't rely on being able to talk for prolonged periods of time. And honestly, I wanted to save my ability to speak to my friends and my family because I was really almost like a mute at one point. Me and Eddie would be in the house and I would say to him, I'm just not going to talk for a couple of hours. And he'd be like, okay. So that's where we were at. Then roll around the following summer, so it's like May or June in 2023. I went to London to stay with 2 of my close friends and we went out for this dinner to this Italian restaurant and it was so gorgeous, and Italian food is just my favorite. I love cheese, I love pizza, I love pasta, I love wine, and we had this big spread of food. It was incredible, enjoyed it so much. And I woke up the next morning and I kid you not, I have never ever been so ill. I was coughing all over the place, could not stop coughing. It was so painful. It was like a hacking cough. So I flew home to Scotland and that was just me then for literally weeks. I didn't recover for weeks. I was just coughing all the time. I had to switch my clients to being written responses instead of speaking and video responses because again, I just could not rely on my voice. I stopped doing a lot of social plans and really just became a bit of a hermit because it was just so depressing. And I would go through so many emotions in a day. Eddie has seen the worst of it firsthand, but I would just get so upset and be so distraught about it because, well, one, it was frustrating not to be able to speak for all of the reasons I've just given you, but 2, I was incredibly worried why it was happening because they checked out my ear, nose and throat. After this, I then also went for a chest x-ray to see if there was anything going on there, and there was nothing. And so I was freaking out because I was like, there's something wrong and they don't know what it is. And I'm aware that with health issues, you want to catch them early. So I was freaking out that there was going to be something that they weren't going to catch until a year or two down the line, by which point it was going to be way worse. So that was my thought process at the time. It was really scary. Now in the UK, we have a free healthcare service called the NHS, and this is who I'd used for all of these things up until this point. I've been back multiple times pushing for more tests, more evaluations, because obviously I was 27 at this point and I knew something like this shouldn't be happening to me at this age, and it was really affecting so much of my life that I was really pushing them for it. But the service is just so overrun here and so slow that it was just not getting me anywhere. I was waiting months and months and months to hear literally nothing back. So let's fast forward again to the autumn of 2023, and I ended up deciding to pay for a CT scan myself. This cost me quite a lot of money, but honestly, health is everything, and when you have something that makes you question your health and your lifespan and everything like that, it is just nothing else matters, you know? So I was like, I don't care. I will pay any amount of money right now to have an answer, have some peace of mind. So I got a CT scan done on my whole torso, and again, there was nothing wrong. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is so stressful. Now, autumn of 2023 is also just before Eddie and I were due to get married. So we were getting married at the end of September, and I could not speak. I was like, I can't say my vows because I can't speak for more than like 5 seconds without coughing all over the place. And we had decided that we wanted to write our own vows. So obviously you would want to be able to speak them clearly and have everyone hear you and understand you. All of our family and friends were going to be there, and I just really wanted it to go well. So I went to the GP again, definitely cried a lot more than I thought I was going to, but thank goodness somebody finally gave me something that actually helped. She literally threw everything at me because she was like, well, do you know what? You're getting married in a few weeks and we don't really have time to trial and error things here. So she gave me an inhaler. She gave me a post-nasal drip, like steroid nose spray. She gave me a course of antibiotics, and she gave me omeprazole, so acid reflux blocker. Now, the omeprazole, I was kind of like, why? That makes absolutely no sense. But she explained to me that sometimes acid reflux can cause a cough. But she had asked me if I had any sort of stomach issues, digestive issues, heartburn, and I was like, no, nothing like that at all. But lo and behold, I started taking the omeprazole and I saw an immediate relief in this cough. Now, it did not go away, but if we say we were at 100, I got it down to maybe 20 or 30. So it was a huge improvement, and it was enough for me to say my vows, be heard clearly, not be worried about coughing, but I would still definitely have fits throughout the day where it would happen. Now, the omeprazole is not something that you necessarily want to be on long term because it does have some negative side effects if you're on it long term. And since then, September 23, I have been on omeprazole or another PPI, which stands for protein pump inhibitor. It's the same exact type of medication as that. And that has been helping me manage these symptoms ever since then. So essentially, the diagnosis I've now received is that I've got something called silent reflux, which is where you basically have acid reflux that you can't feel. So I have no digestive problems, I have no heartburn, I have no pain, nothing at all, but the acid flies up my esophagus and it burns my vocal cords, and it causes this hoarse voice, but also causes me to need to cough all the time. And so by taking these PPIs, especially now long term, the cough is nearly at zero. I still do experience it sometimes, especially if I eat certain foods, because of course it's food triggered. And if you think back to the start of this story, you'll be like, oh, that makes sense why it was so much worse after that Italian meal. But I still don't really understand why it all started in the first place. So that's what I mean when I say it's not fully resolved. I'm still on a medication long term that I would rather not be, but without it, I don't really have a good quality of life. So I am obviously incredibly grateful to have that because it gives me quality of life that I wouldn't otherwise have at the moment. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why it started. It literally was overnight, and it's been just ongoing ever since then. So that takes us to now. We are in April 2025. So I'm approaching year number 3, the third anniversary of all of this starting, which is just crazy to think. So since then, I have also been for what's called an endoscopy, where they put a camera down your throat and they look at your esophagus, they look at your stomach lining. And I've been diagnosed with something called Barrett's esophagus, which is essentially the change of cells in your lower esophagus. And this can mean that you are more likely to get stuff like esophageal cancer and other related illnesses. So that's something that I need to be monitored for now going forwards, to make sure that it's not getting worse, and if it is, to be able to treat it quickly. So that is where we're at now. And like I said, being on the medication I'm on now gives me quality of life that I would not have otherwise. It gives me the ability to train, to bodybuild, to YouTube, to work, enjoy my life and spend time with my friends and my family, which before I just was not doing, because it's incredibly hard to be sociable when you're in pain or worrying about being able to say your next sentence. Very, very challenging. But I am so grateful for the position I'm in now. And while it might not be perfect, it might not be ideal, that's okay. And I will continue to look after my health with the highest level of importance that I possibly can. And I am still looking into this more, researching it more, trying to learn more, and trying to figure out if there's anything that I can do to actually help it long term, to the point where I could come off of this medication at some point. So that is my story up until this point. There isn't really an ending at the moment. There isn't really a solution, but there is a lot more resolved than there was. So I'm really grateful for that. And I'm grateful to have answers at the end of the day, because not having answers really lets your mind run wild. It really lets you think the worst. And I think that that worry can be more damaging to your health than anything else. So I am in a very positive place. I am incredibly happy with my physique and my work and where everything is at with all of that. And I am incredibly happy to be back on YouTube and to be able to film and trust in my voice and trust that I'm going to be able to pick up the camera and talk to you guys. So yeah, that is where we're at. And I am so excited for this year. This season means so much to me for all of the reasons that it always has done. I love the sport, I love what I do, but after encountering a bunch of health concerns, it just means even more now to be able to do this and to be able to enjoy this sport for longer. So thank you guys so much for all the support. If you know anything about this stuff or you have a similar experience, I would, of course, want to hear from you. So drop a comment below and I will definitely be reading them all. If you want to follow along on my prep, then please do subscribe. There will be lots more videos to come, and we've got a really exciting season planned. I'm gonna announce properly what shows I'm doing and tell you my schedule and everything like that in my next video. So that's gonna be coming really soon. And on that note, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.